Welcome back. Okay, today we're tackling something we all pretty much take for granted, those massive, blockbuster global sports festivals. But we're going to completely flip the concept on its head. In this explainer, we're diving straight into the 2026 North America World Cup and really digging into why the traditional model of international sports just isn't cutting it anymore for our fractured world. So, before we break out the confetti, we've got to ask ourselves a pretty tough, but absolutely necessary question given the state of things right now. I mean, is humanity actually ready for a massive festival? Millions of us are gearing up to cheer, paint our faces, wave the flags, the whole shebang. But if we pull back the lens for a second and look at the globe as a whole, the timing of these unchecked, massive celebrations, it starts to feel, well, a bit jarring, right? Which brings us to Section 1, A World Divided, the reality of today. You know, the original intent of these mega events was actually beautiful. It was all about transcending conflict, right? Allowing humanity to literally become one through sports, building mutual understanding across borders. But that ideal is clashing really hard with our current reality. Because instead of a world coming together, we're looking at a globe that's heavily, heavily fractured. Just look at what we're dealing with. Active wars, nations battling for global hegemony, widespread economic crises, and just heartbreaking refugee situations. The source material hits on a really uncomfortable truth here. On one side of the planet, people are facing unthinkable violence and tragedy, and on the exact same planet, at the exact same time, we're throwing multi-billion-dollar parties with mascots. It's wild to think about. So we're essentially living in this state of massive cognitive dissonance, just throwing these festivals on complete autopilot. The source makes a really crucial point here. We've basically stopped researching why we hold these events in the first place. And listen, if we don't adapt their core purpose to actually address the pain currently in the world, we're not celebrating anymore. We're just distracting ourselves. It's a really bold claim, for sure, but it forces us to rethink everything. All right, moving on to Section 2, Rethinking Global Festivals, a necessary paradigm shift. The source material actually offers a super powerful, direct way to immediately shift the intent of the whole event. Quote, change the name. Make it the World Peace World Cup. I mean, it sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? But the psychology behind that swap is massive. By officially renaming it, the message literally becomes the event itself. It's an instant signal that we're departing from the past. Think about it. Under the old paradigm, the entire focus is totally zero-sum. Who won? Who lost? Which country beat which country? Who gets the bragging rights? It's just pure competition. But in this proposed new paradigm, sports are merely a vehicle. Think of it like a giant magnet to gather the world. Once everyone's actually in the stadium, the real focus shifts to cultural integration, actively broadcasting messages of peace, and sharing real, actionable research on human unity. Let's jump into Section 3, the 1988 Olympic lesson, when messaging isn't enough. Now, if you know your history, you know the 1988 Seoul Olympics was an absolutely massive cultural moment. The theme song was literally called Hand in Hand, and the stated ambition was to physically break down international barriers. It was this incredibly inspiring, almost electric message that really resonated across the whole globe at the time. But, and this is a big but, while the messaging was practically perfect back in '88, there was kind of a fatal flaw. They lacked deep, actionable research. They managed to get the entire globe's attention focused on tearing down walls, but they didn't have a blueprint for what came next. The source material heavily critiques this. It's like they said, let's hold hands, but they completely skipped researching how to actually build lasting systems of cultural integration afterward. It was a beautiful slogan, yeah, but without any pragmatic follow-through. Which leads us directly into Section 4, proposing a new paradigm, the actionable roadmap for 2026 and beyond. So how do we prevent another empty slogan? Well, the source introduces this really fascinating concept called social parents. Think of them kind of like societal elders, or actually scratch that, more like civic leaders who take on the moral and intellectual responsibility for the direction of a culture. Since South Korea has this very unique demographic of organized societal guides, the source argues they're perfectly positioned to pioneer this research and actually draft the blueprint for the rest of the world. And here we have the exact step-by-step roadmap for these leaders to take action. Step 1. Form dedicated research groups immediately. Step 2. Draft official, heavily researched proposals that outline exactly how to integrate peace-focused cultural events directly into the tournaments. And Step 3, which is honestly the most critical part,
formally submit these proposals right to the organizing committees of FIFA and the IOC.
Now, the clock is absolutely ticking here. The 2026 North America World Cup is right around the corner, which means we need rapid cultural proposals right now. But the real master target? That's 2028. We've got a solid 2-year window to prepare deeply researched cultural plans for the LA Olympics. The US is essentially a giant melting pot of the world's people, like an international news city, which makes it literally the ultimate launchpad for this brand new cultural paradigm. When this roadmap is executed, honestly, everybody wins. Organizing committees like the IOC, who, let's be real, are frankly desperate for positive PR and fresh ideas, they get these profound cultural blueprints handed to them. The host nation gets to shine, not just for having cool stadiums, but as a true global hub of humanity. This creates this massive, massive global synergy, shifting the entire world's focus away from bitter rivalry and straight toward world peace.
So I'm going to leave you with this pretty provocative thought to chew on. If we have the entire world's attention, billions of dollars, and the physical gathering of almost every nation on Earth in one single place, and we still can't use that opportunity to unite humanity in action, well, what will? I think it's high time we demand a little bit more from our celebrations. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this completely changes how you view the next global tournament.